Hey there. Welcome to Lumani Health. I'm Stephanie, a nurse case manager who's been behind the scenes of hospitals, insurance companies, you name it. And guess what? They're still denying my kids medication. So, in today's episode, I thought I'd spill exactly how I fought back, what steps you can take, and if you're in the same boat, why even someone with a nursing background could get blindsided by insurance. A little disclaimer, while I'm a nurse, I'm not a treating provider. So everything here is based on my personal experience and professional insights, not formal medical or financial advice. Definitely consult licensed pros for your unique situation. By the end of this video, you'll have a step-by-step roadmap to tackle that dreaded no covered statement. Plus, I'll share how 15% of our Lumani Health's VIP membership that's coming up soon will go straight to youth mental health initiatives, which is such a huge passion of mine. So stick around because no family should have to choose between groceries and critical medication. Okay, so I have a couple of examples that I could walk through, but one in particular was so anxiety filling. I had gone to pick up my daughter's daily anxiety medication, fully expecting our regular copay, which usually runs anywhere from $5 to $10. We went through the drive-through like we normally do at CVS, and the very nice person at the drive-through calmly says, I'm really sorry. There seems to be a problem with your insurance. It's saying that it's $700. Your insurance isn't covering it anymore. Now, I've spent years working as a nurse in care coordination, and I know how insurance approvals and denials happen. But hearing those words as a parent and my daughter sitting in the car with me, I felt a rush of panic, guilt, and absolute rage. How can they just refuse to pay? Do I scramble and cough up $700? Which, by the way, like most people, I don't have just $700 lying around. Or do I skip on groceries? It's humbling to realize that even with insider knowledge, you can still get hit by a denial. My daughter needed this specific medicine because the generic alternatives give her horrible side effects. She's tried several different versions, and her doctor felt like this would give her the best chance to feel like herself every day. The insurance didn't see it that way. I'm almost positive it wasn't even reviewed, and that's when I decided I'm not taking no for an answer. So in thinking about why it was so critical to not take no for an answer, I was really thinking about the bigger picture in terms of the consequences if I didn't really fight for my daughter, advocate for my daughter, and really, because I have a background in this, understanding that insurance companies don't always understand the underlying conditions before going through their automated processes. When insurers say not covered, it's not just about the money, though $700 can wreck a monthly budget and ultimately flip a family upside down. For a month, for mental health medications, especially for kids, missing doses can trigger major setbacks, anxiety, depression, ADHD. The stakes are super high if you go without the right medication. As a nurse case manager, I've seen how these decisions get made. Sometimes it's a cold checkbox process, preferred brand versus non-preferred brand, or they say it's not medically necessary because generics exist, ignoring individual side effects. They have opted not to send it for medical necessity review, which actually gets assessed and analyzed by an actual physician. In these situations, as parents, as patients, it's easy to feel absolutely powerless. But trust me, you're not alone. So let's talk about 5 concrete steps you can take if you're staring at a scary pharmacy bill or a not covered letter. All right, let's dig in. So, the first thing to consider is requesting the exact reason in writing that your medication was denied. First, don't rely on the phone call alone. Ask for a written denial letter. This might read something like non preferred brand or not medically necessary. You need this official language to build your case. It's the anchor for appeals or further steps. In this letter, besides having the specific verbiage in the parentheses of not preferred brand or not medically necessary, it will detail out more concrete information so that when you do make the phone call or you do then write an appeal letter, if that is necessary, you'll know exactly what you're speaking to in terms of what the reference points are. Second, ask for a peer review. A peer to peer basically forces your prescribing doctor to talk directly to the insurance company's medical director. I've seen so many denials reversed at this stage because the insurance doctors finally hear the actual clinical reason. So, again, this is doctor to doctor having that clinical conversation and clinical rationale of understanding why a medication is absolutely needed. Remember when I had mentioned a lot of insurance companies have automatic processing and they just go through checkboxes and they may not know all of the nuances in terms of why specific steps for your prescribing doctor or your child's prescribing doctor may have gone above and beyond for a particular type of medication. It's not very apparent. And so this step is definitely needed, and it saves a lot of time down the road. Third, it may require that actual formal appeal. So appeals can be a pain in terms of time because there is a lot of paperwork and deadlines and specific forms. But if you can compile your kids' medical records and show why that generic medication didn't work, as well as have your provider or doctor write a strong justification from a clinical perspective, you have a really good chance of not only having that medication, but not having it at that $700 price tag or whatever you're being asked to pay up front. So don't skip this step if it does get to that point. It's where a lot of families or patients give up, but it is so worth it. 4, check your patient assistance programs. If you get through steps 1 through 3 and your appeal is lost, a lot of drug manufacturers have coupons from nonprofit grants, and you'd be surprised how you can slash that $700 bill down. Some of them even have coupons where you don't have to pay anything at all. GoodRx and similar discount apps can sometimes beat your insurance copays entirely. So check that manufacturer website. They often have direct discount programs. Lastly, bring in a healthcare advocate. If it all feels like a second job, all of these steps that I laid out, I really understand. I personally have gone through a lot of these headaches and confusion, and not only for my own family, but certainly for a lot of the patients and families that I have assisted along the way. So that's really why I support services like this through Lumani Health. As a nurse case manager, I help families handle the phone calls, the paperwork, the red tape. Sometimes a 15-minute consult can save you hours of frustration. You don't have to do this alone. So, putting all of this into action, let's reflect back on my personal situation with my daughter. I ended up getting that denial letter like I had talked about. Our reasoning on our denial letter did say non-preferred brand. I ended up reaching out to my daughter's psychiatrist. We requested that our psychiatrist schedule a peer review to explain how previous generics really activated and triggered nasty side effects. We did have to file a formal appeal showing her medical history. That did take quite a while. In the meantime, we did not stop her other medication because she could not be off of her medication. I opted not to pay for the higher brand name medicine. And then we tracked down the manufacturer coupon that I had mentioned could be an opportunity, my plan B, if the insurance didn't budge. And of course, I acted as my own advocate for my daughter, leveraging what I know as a nurse in care coordination. The result of all of this, the insurance ended up covering a good chunk of the cost after the peer review. And we did find a coupon that further brought down the $700 to around an $80 cost. So it wasn't free, but infinitely more manageable for a monthly medication. And most importantly, I felt like I advocated for my daughter and really stood up for what was right in the situation. One of the biggest reasons I founded Lumani Health is to help families who feel trapped by these denials or need help with healthcare navigation because it's so easy to give up when the system says no. But there's another side to this. We set aside 15% of all of our upcoming VIP memberships to support youth mental health. That means that while we're fixing your medication denials or any questions that you may have around healthcare navigation, we're also helping a child whose family can't afford care at all. It's about paying it forward. If I can fight for my child's health care, I want to empower someone else who doesn't have the insider knowledge or resources. I get a lot of messages similar to the situation I described. What if the insurance denies me after I appeal? I recommend looking into the external review boards, often called the independent medical review, where a third party can override the insurer's final word. And there are people to help you walk through this step by step. So if you need guidance, make sure to find the right resources. Another question I get asked is, can paying cash sometimes beat insurance? Yes, absolutely. It's baffling to me, but discount apps or manufacturer coupons can slash the price below your copay. Always compare options. It doesn't always work, but make sure you do your research. I have been asked, should I switch doctors if they won't do a peer review? That one is tricky. If your doctor isn't willing to advocate for you, my 2 cents is that's a red flag. You need someone who's in your corner. You need someone who's an advocate for you or your family or your loved ones, especially when it's your child's health on the line. So I recommend go with your gut at all times. I'm not suggesting that you leave a doctor or a provider that you've been with for years. I just recommend that you really have people in your world that are advocating for you at the right time, at the right place, for the right reasons. If there's anything else bugging you, drop it in the comments or send me a message. I'm always here to help decode this crazy system. So that's the whole crazy story for this week. From the shock of my $700 denial for my daughter to the 5 steps that we turned into something my whole family could handle. If you're staring down at a pharmacy bill or you've just been told not covered, I hope you see now that you can push back too. I hope you see that you can have courage to push back against the system too. If you need hands-on guidance, I'm offering 15-minute consults. Check the link in the description. We'll talk about your specific scenarios, your deadlines, what forms you need, all of it. And if you're craving in-depth, ongoing support, stay tuned for our VIP circle, where 15% of every membership directly supports youth mental health programs. I promise it's not just about solving your coverage crisis. It's about lifting up another family that just might be one denial away from a disaster. So you can get on our sign-up list. Thanks so much for watching and listening to Lumani Unfiltered. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, share it with someone who needs a little healthcare navigation love. Let's keep this conversation going in the comments. Tell me your biggest question or horror story about insurance. Remember, You deserve real answers, not a dead end phone call. Stay curious and keep advocating because sometimes the system only hears you when you shout. Take care, friends.